Lift the veil of secrecy and accept the truth about the UFO phenomenon. That's the plea from our next guest on this World Disclosure Day. Stephen Bassett is Executive Director of Paradigm Research Group. And Stephen, welcome.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
85% of Americans, you say, believe that there are UFOs, extraterrestrials out there. And why are we having such a tough time getting the truth revealed, as you believe?
85% believe there's other life in the universe. About 45 to 50% believe this phenomenon we've been hearing about our whole life is in fact extraterrestrial. About 85% do not believe the government statements on these things. And the reason this isn't being engaged by all of the politicians and by our Congress and by our President is for national security reasons. Our government decided to contain this issue with what I now call a truth embargo. This embargo was initially formed in the early 1950s, and that embargo was that they would not acknowledge it, they would undermine research, they would contain the press, and just keep this issue under wraps as long as they could. But I'm afraid that truth embargo is coming undone right now.
They say national security, but what do we mean by national security? It's not like a Cold War enemy where we're keeping information from other countries. What's it about? Because you have these World Disclosure Days around the world.
Yeah. There's a movement that's going on worldwide. But back in the early 50s, with the Soviet threat mounting every year, they were about to test their own weapons. Clearly, we were facing a possible third world war that would be nuclear. And now they've got a crash vehicle from the Roswell events, 1947. They don't know what the ETs want. They don't know what this technology could mean to them. And they said, look, we can't bring this into the public domain. And that became a very strong policy as the Cold War worsened. And the truth embargo was absolutely solid all the way up through 91. But since the Cold War ended, things are changing. And I think pretty soon that embargo will end.
You know, there are people who have their impressions about extraterrestrials, UFOs, and whatever from popular culture, whether it's the X-Files or Independence Day. But you held a conference in 2013, a mock congressional hearing that people declared was a watershed moment, not because you held it with former representatives from Congress, but the quality of people you had called as witnesses over 5 days, 30 hours, 40 witnesses testified.
42 witnesses before 6 former members of Congress with 80 years of tenure. What we did in that mock congressional hearing called a Citizen Hearing on Disclosure, citizenhearing.org, was show what a hearing before Congress would look like. The kind of testimony, the quality of the witnesses, we're talking Air Force SAC base officers, astronauts, political figures, and we sent a copy of the full 30-hour record to every member of Congress. I've been meeting with staffers on the House and Senate side.
And this is why he's on, to make you aware of what's going on. Stephen Bassett, thank you for being with us.